Recording in progress.
Wait, you just. Welcome everyone to the San Rafael City Council meeting. It's a regular meeting, although it is a Tuesday, as yesterday was a holiday. It's February 20th. I will request the city clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bushy is absent. Councilmember Hill is absent. Councilmember Kurtz.
Present.
Councilmember Yedenskalani.
Present.
Mayor Kate.
Present. Small but mighty this evening. Thank you. We have met in closed session, and I will turn to Deputy City Attorney Genevieve Quinn.
There's nothing to report from closed session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here either in the chambers or listening in. I want to give a shout out to staff. It's been some crazy weather over the last couple of weeks. So DPW, the fire department, police department have been incredibly busy. And we're so grateful for the way that you've been showing up to support our community. And we'll see if Mother Nature has more in store, but we will continue to respond if she does. Just wanted to make a few comments about community outreach. I noticed that a lot of my emails recently has been about reporting issues or wanting additional information. So to that end, I just wanted to take a moment to highlight 5 important tools on our city website. And the city website's www.cityofsanrafael.org. And if you don't remember that, you can just go into any search engine and say City of San Rafael and it will show up. So 5 tools that you can know about on the website. 1, if you have an issue, want to report, and people email me, I love getting your emails. And what I'll say is, hey, use this handy form, because it's the same form that we use up here on the dais for potholes, graffiti, things like that. It's a report an issue. It's on our landing page. And it's really important that we use that form because then it gets in the system and it can get a ticket number and it can get assigned and it can get worked on and tracked. So that's tool number one. Tool number two, when we have major planning projects like Northgate, for example, right now there's a draft EIR that's out. If you want information on that, again, go to our city website. You can sign up to receive updates. So you know if anything, the next meeting that's going to be happening, you'll be able to know when that's happening and how you can participate. There are other issues that people care about. Homelessness, for example, we've worked really hard to have a very robust page with all the things that the city is doing in conjunction with our county partners. And again, you can sign up to receive updates. We're trying to make our system as robust as possible. So if you're trying to navigate it and you're like, this could be a little better, then do send us an email because we really want to lean into this incredible tool. And then the most important, or as important, is to sign up for Snapshot, which is our city manager newsletter, comes out twice a month, and it talks about what's going on here and things that are coming down the pike. So for those 5 tools, you will be the one in the know from all your neighbors, and then you can start spreading the word about all the issues that are going on here in San Rafael. Before I turn to the city clerk, we like to include a land acknowledgement as part of the opening. And to recognize, in addition to the statement, we work with our tribal partners on our shared issues. We thank the original caretakers of this land. San Rafael is traditionally home to the Coast Miwok people, many of whom today are tribal citizens of the Federated Indians of Great Rancheria. And we honor their continuing involvement and stewardship practices that benefit us all. Thank you for being here this evening. I will turn it over to the city clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Kate. Tonight's meeting is being recorded and streamed live to YouTube. For members of the public wishing to provide public comment, displayed on the podium and the projector is a timer to help you stay within the 2-minute time frame. You're invited, though not required, to introduce yourself and say what part of San Rafael you live in or if you're from outside of San Rafael. We're offering closed captioning for this evening's meeting on Zoom. You can select the live transcript button on Zoom to enable this feature. And if you experience any technical difficulties, you can contact me at city.clerk@cityofsanrafael.org. Thank you.
Thank you. We are always busy between meetings. We have a city manager and council member reports, and I will turn to the city manager for her report.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and the community. I just have a couple of announcements tonight. We have our third Police Advisory and Accountability Committee public meeting tomorrow evening. It will take place here in the council chambers at 6 p.m. You can participate and provide public comment in person, or you can watch the meeting via Zoom, which you can find the link on our public meetings website, and you can provide written email comments to the email address is PAAC@cityofsanrafael.org up till 4 p.m. of the day of the meeting. We also have an exciting celebration for our over 90-year-old residents on Sunday, March the 10th. It's an event sponsored by the Age-Friendly San Rafael Community Partnership at the downtown B Street Community Center. The RSVP for that event is this Friday, the 23rd. You can go to the city's website at cityofsanrafael.org/RSVP, or you can call 415-485-333 with your name and number of guests. Lastly, we have a new official ballot box at the Alboro Community Center where you can drop off your ballot. It will also be an official polling place for the upcoming March 5th primary election.
Thank you so much. I will turn to my colleagues. Councilmember Kurtz.
Thank you. A couple of updates. Attended the Forecasting the Future, which was offered by the Marin Economic Forum. We've had a number of meetings regarding our homeless community, the HSPC, Homeless Policy Steering Committee for the county and all the partners, as well as we had our MCCMC, Marin County Council of Mayor and Council Members. We had Meredith Parnell from St. Vincent's, as well as Luke Barnworth come speak around Front Porch and some of the work that's being done for preventing homelessness. And we also attended with Mayor Kate and Councilmember Hill, the Vivalon open house. Grand opening. Open house. So that's it. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Micah.
Thank you, Mayor. So on February 10th, we had a great day. There was a Quintai Day. So it was a great event that the city of San Rafael organized there were a lot of students from UC Berkeley, and for many of them, this was the first time that they were in San Rafael. There were like a partnership with Canada Alliance, Multicultural Center, Marine Audubon Society, the Coastal Conservancy, Marine Community Foundation, and the County of Marin. And it was so well attended. So the idea was to raise awareness around sea level rise using the king tide to do different measures. So it was, again, very well attended. We had like a lot of tables with information, and then they divided like different groups going around the area in San Rafael to measure so they can actually present the data and give us a little preview of what's coming and what can we do in government to prevent that. So it was a great day for climate action, and having so many young people is very inspiring. Also, the marine arts was there. So the kids were actually making some nice drawings around king tides and how the moon and the sun and the earth all line up and how the king tides happen. So it was beautiful. So huge congratulations to the team, Corey Bitov, Kate Hageman, Walter Gonzalez, the team that put all this together, and also especially to the team in Alboro Pickleweed, because they always do such a great job. So also attended the MC Marine Clean Energy Board meeting, the first one of the year, and they had some new elected officials there. A special congratulations to Karen Maiden. She's a lead teacher for the Marine School Environmental Leadership within Terra Linda School, within a school at Terra Linda High School. She received the Charles McLaughlin Award from MC to be the lead teacher to develop curriculum with MC for ninth graders on renewable energy. And there were only 3 awards in all the neighboring counties, so it was a big deal having our educator here in San Rafael. And then I would just finish by saying today I got a text from one of our neighbor cities elected official saying that he went to our community development department. He had an amazing experience. So I thought that it will be important for everybody to know. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all that you're doing outside the dais work. I will just share a few items. We had our bicycle ped advisory committee. We started the meeting, we had to continue it due to technical issues. So the next meeting will be in March as opposed to wait until April. I think we'll get that date certain out to the community. The same evening, I spoke along with Vice Mayor Hill had showed up as well, the Gerstle Park Neighborhood Association, and they had a lot of tough questions. Assistant City Manager John Stefanski was there. We gave them a lot of information in a short amount of time, and they seemed to appreciate that. In addition, and I know the city manager mentioned this before, I was selected as part of the Mayor Institute on City Design. I received a mayoral fellowship, one of 8 mayors in the nation. And so I was in Boston last Monday and Tuesday for the launch of the fellowship, and it's around equity and justice in looking in city policy. So it's a semester-long course that I will be attending along with City Manager Lilovich and Director of Innovation IT. I'm sorry, Sean Mooney, I don't know your official title, but that was great. So I was there the last week, and I didn't get snowed in, so that was even better. We had San Rafael Sanitation District meeting along with Councilmember Bushy. We had our meeting last Friday. We continue to work on our strategic plan for 2024. And finally, this morning, the Transportation Authority of Marin, I'm representing San Rafael on the countywide transportation plan, which is exactly what it sounds like, a countywide transportation plan. So part of the task force that will be daylighting and coming to the TAM board in a couple weeks, the next steps on that. So as always, appreciate my colleagues for all that they do in the weeks between the meetings. I will accept public comment on either the city manager or council member reports. If there's anyone in the room who'd like to comment on them. Not seeing anyone, I will close the public comment and bring it to the consent agenda. Are there any items that you'd like to hold from the consent agenda? Not seeing any. I will open public comment on the consent agenda. This is item actually quite big, 4A through I. Any comments on the agenda, the consent agenda? We'll come down and ask, and then so it's it's 4A, so it's not, so if it's open time, then we'll stay seated till we fit. Okay. With that, I close the public comment on this. I request a motion on the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Kurtz,
Aye.
Councilmember Yeden Scolati,
Aye.
Mayor Kate.
Aye, that motion carries 3-0. We have a special presentation, but before we come down, come off the dais and have the presentation, we do take public comment prior to the reading of the proclamation. So if anyone would like to comment. And this is the proclamation to Mark Hedeen retiring after 55 years of service from SRPD. Okay, not seeing anyone. We will get down and do the good stuff. Okay, please join me. Mark, do you want to be invited down? Nothing like talking about people when they're sitting next to you versus in the audience. So come on down. How about right here? And I'm going to talk about you. So these proclamations are incredibly special. In fact, we are talking, I don't think we have done one in a couple years. And so it's an honor that we're here today doing this for you. Whereas Mark Hedeen deserves to be honored and recognized due to his many important contributions to the city of San Rafael and your positive impact on so many in the community. Since 1969, you have been a member of the San Rafael Police Department, dedicating decades of service to the city and to our community. Whereas Mark has worked as a reserve police officer, open space ranger, and Marine Unit Reserve officer. I think you hit every single geographical part of the city with that. Your wealth of knowledge and experience has been an invaluable asset to our community, contributing most notably and significantly to the operational success of the San Rafael Police Department Marine Unit. I think we're one of the only ones in Marin. I think there are a few other, but we're the best one. We already know that. And it's really been because of your efforts that we can say that. Your commitment has extended beyond duty hours, actively contributing to routine maintenance for the Marine Unit's vessels and equipment, ensuring their continuous operational readiness. And under your leadership, the Marine Unit achieved notable recognition for outstanding service, earning 2 Gold Medal of Valor awards and 17 life-saving awards. Truly made a difference. Mark and his team have played a crucial role in critical operations, including water rescues, distressed vessel assist, law enforcement operations, search and rescue missions, and recoveries. And whereas the Marine Unit, under Mark Hedeen's guidance, has been a vital asset in ensuring the safety and security of San Rafael waterways. Now, therefore, be it resolved on behalf of the entire community of San Rafael, the city council, I do hereby warmly express our deep gratitude and appreciation to you for your service to the community. As you embark on an honorably earned retirement, we commend you for your commitment, professionalism, and the positive impact you've made on the safety and well-being of our city. And I'll just like to ad-lib and say, you have seen the police force change over time. One thing it hasn't changed is your professionalism, the expertise, your commitment to showing up for your team and for each other. We see you, we recognize you, and we are so honored to have had you here all those decades. Thank you, Mark. It's up to you.
Thanks for everybody, and especially my Marine Auxiliary who have followed me to the ends of the earth. That have seen that nasty dragon on the bay.
Thank you. Thank you all. Now I see that Chief Roman's joined us. That's going to be a hard act to follow, but we'll just take a breath, all of us. We do have another item on the agenda this evening, which is agreement for the 911 emergency communication and fire dispatch services. And I see Thomas Long is here as well.
Mayor Kate, I'm going to start us off on
sorry,
this
City
one.
Manager.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I just will wait for a little
Yeah,
micro
I want to go
moment.
out and hang out with them. as
I know, I do
well.
too.
Well,
I
good.
do
I'm glad
too.
they're having that moment.
I wanted to introduce a couple of guests who are our partners here tonight in this agenda item. Charlotte Jourdain is the project manager for the new Emergency Communications Center. Did I get that right? ECC, it's the new acronym. And then Chief Jason Weber with the Marin County Fire Department, who I wanted to particularly appreciate and recognize, although he will not be happy about me doing that. He deserves the recognition. He really stepped up for this county in a time of need where we didn't have a lot of options. And I just wanted to let you know as a city manager how confident I feel in his abilities to lead this new effort, what an important thing it is for our county and for San Rafael. And I appreciate you being here, both of you. And then I think Chief Weber will say a few words just about the program and conclusion of the staff's presentation.
Good evening, Councilmember Kate, Councilmember Rachel, Councilmember Micah. A little bit of history here that we're going to be presenting on our dispatch system. We get here. A little bit of history. Marin County Sheriff Office had provided the fire service and emergency medical service dispatch service to Marin County fire agencies since 2009. In August of last year, of 2022, excuse me, Sheriff Scardenia notified fire agencies that they would no longer be able to provide those services. Promptly, we were in a bit of a bind, and Marin County Fire Department stepped up to the plate here and said that they would do it under the circumstances we were in, and that they would step up and help us with that. And that's for all the Marin County agencies. We explored several versions of it, what we could actually do. And at the end, we found out that the most efficient, most cost-effective solution was to partner with the rest of the fire agencies in Marin County. A little bit on the terms and governance on this. Beginning the date of July 1st, 2024, the contract is terminated. So we will start the new contract at that point. We are making part of the executive committee. We'll develop and review all the operation and critical tasks of the Emergency Command Center. And I'll go a little bit more about the Emergency Command Center in a little bit. And make the recommendations to the county for expenditures, costs, and budgets. Representing of that will be one fire district, one city town, and the city of San Rafael is currently only city town. That's the representing that. One at-large member and Marin County Fire Department. The Standards Committee is now operational and reviewing all policies. That particular Standards Committee, I am part of that committee, and we are the ones that are driving a lot of the policies forward on that, on specific needs for San Rafael and the rest of the county also. The staffing is unique. It's got 20 full-time employees, 24/7 fire captain on duty, and on-duty command and control. Well, we described it as an emergency command center, which is an ECC, which is different than the dispatch center. The ECC is actually a dispatch center that takes control of the incident prior to even anybody showing up on scene, which is a lot different than the dispatch center, where we just dispatch units and respond to units, and they take control, especially when it arrives on scene. In this particular case, we have a commanding officer, meaning a captain at the dispatch center, making those decisions. Mayor Kate, you referred to the recent storms that we've been in. Sometimes we don't have a lot of resources for all those calls that are coming in. So now we actually have a captain that's on duty that makes those calls on the fly and figures out what the priorities are. This is huge. This is probably one of the most robust systems in the Bay Area that we will have now, thanks to Marin County Fire. Another enhanced services that we will have with this is the closest unit concept, meaning regardless of what agencies respond to it, the closest unit, regardless of what district is in, will respond to the call. Emergency dispatch protocol. What that is pre-arrival instructions, not only on the EMS side, but also potentially on the fire side. Prior to even arriving on scene, they're getting instructions. Once again, I'll refer back to the emergency command center. Somebody's already taken charge of that incident before first arriving engine. So this is really huge for us. Enhanced technology and analytics, reducing reflex times, improving access to real-time data and reporting enhancements, which is the problem that we've had in the past as far as getting that information out, and improving interoperability of the rest of the fire agency's software. Alert and warning, total integration with the Office of Emergency Management for rapid notifications. We're in a workshop this afternoon, just discussing those things and being able to have that quick response where we're literally just talking to our partner at that point that we need some alerts to go out. It's huge for us and for cutting down that response time. Public information as far as timely distribution of information over multiple platforms, and then having one consistent message is another important part of this concept for sure.
All right, I'm going to take it from there. Good evening, Mayor Kate and members of the council. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present tonight. My name is Thomas Wong. I'm the Senior Management Analyst in our fire department, and I will be going over the budget portion of the presentation tonight. The cost of the new dispatch center will be shared amongst 8 Marin fire agencies. The costs are broken down between annual operating costs and one-time startup costs. Annual operating costs cover staffing, technology, and expenses related to the delivery of the dispatch services. Program-wide, the annual cost is a little over $5 million a year. The city's contribution is roughly 24% of that, or about $1.25 million annually, and is second to the county's contribution. This percentage is based on a mix of our total population and prior year call volumes, which can lead to slight year-over-year variances, but account for changes in not only San Rafael's demographics, but other agencies in future years. One-time startup costs include tenant improvements at 1600 Los Gamos Drive in northern San Rafael, hardware and technology purchases, and training for new staff. The total startup costs are estimated at $5.1 million, with the city contributing $1.6 million of that. The County of Marin is offering all agencies the opportunity to pay the upfront cost over 15 years at 2%, which results in an annual payment of about $123,000 a year for the next 15 years. The city's contribution to the operating and one-time costs amount to about $1.37 million for fiscal year 24-25. Future increases in operating costs will be capped at 5% annually, with the one-time cost fixed over the 15 years. Future budgets will be developed in coordination with the Executive Committee and Emergency Command Center staff. Staff recommends adopting the resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Marin County for 911 emergency communication and fire dispatch services. And that concludes our staff presentation. And I think I'm going to hand it over to Chief Weber now.
Yeah, that'd be great. Welcome,
Thank you.
Chief.
Evening, Mayor Kate, council members. Thank you, Jason Weber, Marin County Fire Chief. I think, although it may be somewhat cheesy, but we do it better when we do it together. And, this county is not big enough for all of us to do our own things. And I think we've experienced that with a lot of different opportunities. It could be one fire agency someday, maybe it will be. But for right now, I think where we can share, in things like this, it's super important to do. Chief Roman mentioned some of the opportunities that are presented with this. Recently, we have assumed the Office of Emergency Management. So having alert and warning in on busy days like storm days or red flag days will cut down on those reflex times that we know make a difference in lives. The center's being developed for future opportunities that we would share in that opportunity, if you will, with the member agencies if we want to take on additional workload and lower costs. Those will all be opportunities, and I think we're very much open to looking at future governance models that are different than this. But in order to get this up and running in a timely manner, we're in front of you today. So, although this may be a contract for services, I really want to think about this as a partnership and that we're in this together. And every step of the way, we'll be communicating and making sure that the efforts there are constantly striving for improvement, and that ultimately what matters most is when someone calls 911, they get the service they expect that we can all be proud of. So, and I think this gets us there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm sure we might have some questions. I know I do. Councilmember Kurtz, we'll start with you.
I'm not sure where I'm going to direct this one. Really excited about this. In terms of the 12, so we'll have 12 dispatchers working. So San Rafael currently has, I don't know how many dispatchers we currently have working today. Those, I don't know whether they would just move over or if there's a whole new process, a hiring process. And if the other ones, because I don't believe San Rafael has 12, would they be hired in from other places? Is it open? So I'm just a little bit curious around how that all works in terms of
Yeah,
staffing.
absolutely. So the city of Santa Fe now is a PSAP. So your police department answers the phone and then transfers medical and fire calls to the county sheriff's office. County sheriff's office then dispatches those for some of the agencies. So we still have 2 centers. I should have mentioned this will be the first time in the county's history that we're all operating under one roof, which is a benefit to everyone because there's less confusion. It'll be broken into 3 shifts, 5 personnel on each of those shifts. So we can bring the entire floor out in the middle of the night if we need to for a greater alarm structure fire, God forbid, in downtown Santa Fe or anywhere else. And also have that staffing during the daytime. So it allows that flexibility. So it's a total of 19 FTEs or full-time equivalents that'll serve. And that org chart kind of had those laid out. Now we have done an open recruitment, very pleased. And as you guys know, it is tough to find dispatchers. It's a tough job. And shift work is difficult. The calls are difficult and the cost of living in the Bay Area is painful. We have successfully recruited in one recruitment the 15 personnel that are needed with over 240 plus years of experience. So what we've got is very talented, very experienced dispatchers to start off with. Some of those came from county fire. Some of those came from the sheriff and the others came from surrounding agencies in the Bay Area that are dispatching for fire and EMS.
Great. Okay, good. Perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Urans-Gulati.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. This is very exciting. Might be a little bit too late, but for the 15 new dispatchers, do you have like Spanish-speaking dispatchers? Can you talk a little bit about that for our Latino community?
Absolutely. One of the priorities is being able to translate immediately, and the PSAP will take the calls, so they'll answer first, and if they transfer, we'll have translation services available. I believe we have 1, if not 2, but have actively pushed this to communities and people that have Spanish either as a primary or secondary language because of that exact reason you mentioned. So we do have 24/7 translation services available to us. And when we were pushing or marketing, whatever you want to call it, recruiting, I think is the right terminology in the HR world, we were looking for specifically some of those skill traits.
Okay.
But it's tough also.
Yeah, no, I understand. Thank you. And how do you prioritize? Let's just say it's never going to happen, but let's just say that suddenly there are like big emergencies in 3 different cities. How do you prioritize?
So as Chief Roman mentioned, one of the things that we've lacked in the fire centers across the county is command and control. So that's where somebody is stepping back and instead of being, into the weeds, so to speak, with answering the 911 calls or, dealing with something specific, dispatching, we have somebody that's standing behind to make sure that those incidents are being prioritized. And, the most critical medical incidents will be of the highest priority, like a cardiac or respiratory arrest, and then followed by fires. But when you have multiple fires, it's important to have somebody in there that is looking at mountaintop cameras. One of the things the new center has will be full screens. So you can look at traffic cameras on the freeways. You can look at mountaintop cameras that are zoomed in on, it could even be a structure fire, but a vegetation fire. That'll help inform the company officer in there as to where to direct resources to. So, as resources get depleted, it also allows us to move and be more dynamic in the deployment to make sure that one area isn't completely drawn down.
Sounds great. And my last question, there is a big storm, we lose all the power. Can you talk a little bit about the measures that you have in place?
Absolutely. We're fortunate that the county purchased what we call 1600 Los Gamas or the Marin Commons probably 12, 15 years ago now. That building has double backup generation. So it's something we didn't have to invest in. It already existed. And then we have 3 or 4 different internet connections, satellite, copper coming in, fiber, and I think one more that would allow redundancy in the system for 911. So one, the facility can take that, and then a coop plan that allows us to operate outside. And that could be for the same thing here. You have a problem, with your PD building to be able to flip-flop and take calls for each other is an important piece. And of course, law enforcement has to answer first in California. But that's some of the redundancy that we have in the building. That building's also built to essential standards.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Looks like we are in really good hands.
Thank you. I just have two questions, and the devil's always in the details. So on the executive committee, I know it said one city or town representative. San Rafael is currently the only town. Is it locked in as a designated San Rafael seat? Because I would advocate for that.
Yeah, I think that was one of the discussions we had, and I should have come up here and started with thanking your staff and team for the back and forth, because there was quite a bit of negotiation. So being that San Rafael has the only seat, the contract does spell out that for the first 5 years that no other city could replace San Rafael in that seat. And then I think we have a mutually desirable goal of looking at a different governance model, which would really negate the need for something specifically right here in the front, because ultimately, if we end up with the Joint Powers Authority, it would most likely be restructured.
Okay. So for the first 5 years, even though it didn't say that on the slide. Okay. I just want to confirm that. And thank you. I know that staff, there were lots and lots of conversations, and looking at the amount of resources that we're putting towards this, we really appreciate being able to be at the seat for that. The second question was really around the PIO and the public information. And I'm just curious, who's leading on that? So let's say there's a forest fire and a flood at the same time. I'm just more curiosity. Are we still in our own, which is fine, departments sending out those?
So one of the meetings that we had earlier this afternoon was specific around that, about making sure that we have one message going out. So now actually having a conduit like this, we literally have a phone or conversation or face-to-face relationship now that we could to figure out what the message is and get it out. And there has been problems in the past, not necessarily here, but in other areas where we had mixed messages going out
Exactly.
there. So one of the things that we were tasked for this afternoon was specifically identifying who those folks are going to make those decisions on there. So I think out of this, while the dispatch system is the nexus to a lot of other things out there, it really has captured the need for us to have common communication, common goals in here, and really have alignment on 99% of the things. We still have our little intricacies at the city or county, but the reality is the 99% of it, we're here for the same thing, to protect the community. And this really enhances this part for sure.
And I would just add, if I may, that the jurisdiction having authority for the incident. So in case of San Rafael incident, you would always lead in the public information piece. One of the things that we would be able to offer is if that fire captain's in there and Chief Roman and his battalion chiefs are busy out in the field, and KCBS is pinging and the Marin IJ wants something for, that morning to hit the news, we can craft something and send it to the city for approval. It can go out on your letterhead, but the work that goes behind that is pretty standard PIO work.
Yeah.
But at 2:00 in the morning, I'm sure no one in this room wants to be the one crafting that message. And if a fire captain's in there, they can do that, send it to Chief Roman. He can say, yes, that looks good. You guys can push it your way through your media outlets. But we can be a resource to help get that, the snippet that's out there while they're busy in the field.
Fantastic. Thank you. Well, I think those are our questions for now. We'll wait for the praise part of this. Oh, sorry. Oh, one more question. Go ahead. No, it's fine. Go ahead, Councilmember Kurtz.
In terms of the costs, the operating costs and the startup costs, so we're talking about 3 million and then over 3 million. Do we have sort of an estimate of what those the total costs are going to be in terms of the startup costs? And then what is the sort of the timeline to reevaluate the ongoing operating cost structure? Because I'm assuming, I don't know, those costs will always go up, right?
So I'll speak to the costs and total costs, and San Rafael share of the costs. So the ongoing operational costs, so the year-over-year costs for our next fiscal year, the total cost for all agencies for the operational portion of it is about $5 million. And the city of San Rafael will be paying about 1.25 of that. So that comes out to about 24%. The one-time costs are just that one-time cost, though the county has offered to amortize that over a 15-year period. which the city has accepted at 2% interest rate. And so that total cost to the one-time cost that they intend to spend basically right now in the next year to get up and running is also about $5 million. 5.1, sorry, about 5.1 million, of which we will be on the hook for about 1.6 of that.
And that's
So-
the amortized or the 15-year.
And that 1.6 is amortized over 15 years, which comes out to about $123,000 a year for the next 15 years.
I think from a cost control perspective, we share with the city an interest in controlling costs, right? And one of the things that was added was that cap. We obviously want to be well underneath that. These numbers are conservative. They were, especially the startup was based on, projected construction costs. I'm happy to report that the bids came in below projections, which has been unusual in this market. And Charlotte has done, I think, an excellent job of looking at all of this and making sure that our budgeting is conservative. So when we look at the end of the year, the intention is that we'd be returning some, because again, a conservative budget means that we're under budget. And then as agencies, we can choose, do we want to set some aside for future equipment replacement so we're not surprised in 5 years? And that's something that we'll do as a group. That's not something that will be arbitrary.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. There might be more questions that arise, but let's turn to members of the public. Is there anyone in the chambers who would like to address the council on this item? Welcome out.
Okay. Hello, City Council. I don't have much of a voice, so I have to get close to this. Thank you for your presentation, very informative. I wonder, is there a reason that you required to hire local people and you can't hire cheaper staff from some state that doesn't have housing cost as high as this one? Was one question. And there's been a number of presentations to the city council over these many months that have to do with services to the community. And is this now a single umbrella under which all emergency services will be handled, or are there still other agencies that are handling their own services a different way? And I think I heard during this presentation something that the police had to be first to respond. And do they also have an emergency service facility that now has to coordinate with this, which looks like a very 21st century solution? That's all I can do. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else? Not seeing anyone. I'll close the public comment. I think there were three questions in there. One was around just employing folks, getting them locally. Single umbrella for the emergency services, probably speaking of all the jurisdictions are in, and then the role of the PD within that. So. Okay.
So from a staffing perspective, we do recognize the housing is a challenge. And I think that, our recruitment was successful in retaining folks that are geographically close, but it is tough to get folks within the county. And that's just part of the struggle. I think, having your dispatchers here present in a physical facility is an important piece of this, and we're able to do that. And I think our recruitment numbers and the fact that we garnered folks with 240 years of experience is unusual, but it's also single function. I think, again, we talked about the dispatchers having a hard job, and when you ask them to do PD and fire and be cross-trained in both, it makes it more complicated and challenging. So I think that was one of the reasons for this success.
Thank you. Chief Roman, do you want to speak to the other two questions? Thank you.
And I'll add to that. So it is complicated as far as the PSAP. I mean, that is a state law that we have to follow as far as the calls going directly to the PSAP and then being transferred on there. Yeah. Oh, it's PSAP, the
Primary service answering point. So it's who picks up first when you call 911. It always has to be law enforcement in California.
Yeah. And that's part of it. Once again, if we were to train the dispatchers, the police dispatchers to also be fire dispatchers, one of them is that there's a huge amount of effort and training that goes into EMS dispatching and fire dispatching. It's not just a matter of answering the call and dispatching it out. It's a matter of showing people how to do CPR, how to stop bleeding, and those kind of things on there, and having some meaningful understanding on what the instructions that are going out there. So for us to expect that from a police department dispatcher would be, it's a big task. So really, in this case, really have separated two such expertises amongst themselves, and really have highlighted those questions that the community has for us, and that's how to do CPR, how long they're going to get there, those kind of stuff. So it really is a super enhanced type of system. And I'm not sure if I've answered.
Yeah, no, that was excellent. And then the question about I think it's all the cities and towns, which it's a great question. I hadn't asked that. I know you said 8 agencies, but is it now all the cities and towns in Marin County, our small little pond, that are in this system?
So there's 4 PSAPs, Santa Fe, Novato, Ross is with Fairfax, and then the sheriff's office. So depending on if you live in those jurisdictions, they pick up first. If it's a fire or medical emergency, as Chief Roman said, they would transfer to this new one center. So it does umbrella
all of those
for all of it to ensure that there isn't duplication. And we talk about storms and other stuff. It is a best, I think best public policy to be under one roof.
No, I agree. It really, we do have a set amount of resources, and those resources have to be properly managed. And for us to have a dispatch center, an ECC specifically, to be able to manage those resources based on the priorities that we have at that particular moment, that's a huge win for us. That really is. Right now, we when we do have situations like that, we don't. Each battalion chief is managing that on their own jurisdiction. Now, if we have an overall picture where somebody's managing on behalf of the whole county system, we are definitely sharing those resources, and there's probably a better priority, or we have a faster response to that priority call by doing that kind and being able to share those scarce resources that sometimes we have, depending on the situation, like a storm.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, are there additional questions? And I'll just turn to my colleagues for comments. Thank you, Chief. And I'll start with Councilmember Urans-Galati.
Yes, thank you. This is very exciting. I agree that all of us coming together is probably a much better idea and a better system. So thank you so much for all your work working on this. And I imagine that having all the different organizations coming together to put together a plan is not something easy. So really appreciate all your work on this. Couple of thoughts I had is like around review. This is a new pilot program, or this is a new program, I guess for 15 years is not pilot. But I guess a question that, not a question, but a comment is how you're going to be evaluating the system for improvements. And the second one, just as an idea for workforce development, we would love to get some people trained in the canal in our city to be maybe like future dispatchers. So wondering maybe partnering with high schools or how we can work around that. So, but thank you so much. This is exciting.
Thank you, Councilmember Kurtz, and also a representative on the Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority, another JPA in this kind of realm.
Yep, absolutely. And I think it's great to see this coming forward. I think when we first heard about it, there was like this thought that would happen really quickly. And we know this type of work takes a really long time to get it right. I think it's getting there. It looks good. San Rafael's carrying a large chunk of it, which I understand. And I do think it's going to be really helpful as we go forward looking at the evaluation process and what will that be that cycle to come back and give the report of, is it working? What are some of the risks that we need to keep an eye out for? Because as we're going through this, we don't have a lot of these examples. MWPA is a little bit different. I mean, clearly different than what this is. And so it'll be interesting to use this. I don't believe there's another model right now in the county. Mira, I don't know, not really. So this is it. And so, but I think there'll be other opportunities as we go down the road. There might be other things that we would be looking at from a county perspective, and what can we learn from this process going through this, and that evaluation part, and also the risks that we need to take into consideration. Because we're not the professionals here in terms of this. I don't know what the risks are. I don't know. So, I think that would also be helpful. And I know having the team, and Charlotte, you're key on this, right? To really understand not only just the implementation of the project, but the what are the risks of this type of model? And what do we need to look forward to, coming out of it? So, but thank you. I think it's going to be really good for the county.
Thank you. And I echo my colleagues. Maybe we can have a little update in December or January, just for all the reasons that was just mentioned by both my colleagues, as it is a new system. And it's hard to put new systems in place when you're dealing with, I was going to say agencies, but bureaucracies kind of came to mind. So hats off to all of you for corralling those cats and getting them in the same pen. This is, at the end of the day, it's how do we best serve the community? And that's something, Chief Roman, you said that, like, how do we best serve everyone here? And this is the model. And so I know there might be some pain points. There probably already was some pain points getting to this, but hats off. It is hard to change from a way of doing dispatch for years. And granted, it was kind of, was maybe not our initial decision to start the conversation, but I really think for whatever the reason the conversation started, it's absolutely where it needs to go. So thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Chief Weber. Thank you, Chief Roman. Thank you, Thomas, and all the others that worked behind. I know the city manager as well as our city attorney worked a lot on this. So thank you for always coming back to the table and really hearing what San Rafael needed to have in the contract, initial contract, so we'd feel comfortable about having this conversation, and it sounds like approving it this evening. So
I just want to make a final comment about kind of the evaluation and having a report out. I think the timing for that, given that the service delivery changes July 1st, is that it'd be good to have a good full year's worth of data to give kind of a report out. And I think the feedback about, how do we measure performance and what is, the risk and how's that going? We can provide kind of general updates to you on that. But I think having a good year's worth under our belt of time with the new model would be a good time to come back for.
I think an in-depth one, but even it's going great would feel good.
Yes,
because it is such a big systems change. Fantastic. With that, I invite Councilmember Kurtz, go ahead.
I'll make the motion. Adopt a resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the County of Marin for 911 emergency communications and fire dispatch services.
And I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Kurtz.
Aye.
Councilmember Eden Scalati.
Aye.
Mayor Kate.
Aye, that motion carries 3-0. Thank you so much. Exciting to have this fully launched, so thank you. We have one more item on our agenda, and it's open time for public expression. We've now moved this to after our business portion. I did receive a card from Angela Adams, so if you're here, you are here get your 2 minutes. Welcome, Miss Angela.
Ma'am, I'm here. It's my turn now.
It is your turn. You have 2 minutes. Go for it.
Okay, thank you. I've been to just a few of these, as you can tell, and each time I come, I learn. Okay, and it's good. It's a bit different each time, but it's good. It's good for me. Good evening, City Council. My name is Angela Adams. I'm representing Northern Cal Carpenters, 17 years experience in drywall, lath, and metal framing. I'm here to propose and emphasize on Northern California carpenters' labor standards, which includes livable wages, affordable health care, local hiring, and apprenticeship programs. Through these standards, I have witnessed and continue to witness great accomplishments. Apprenticeship programs play a vital role in skill development and ensuring quality work, which in turn strengthens our workforce. Livable wages are essential to sustain working individuals and their families. It's not only fair, but it's crucial. Local hiring is a crucial aspect that contributes to the growth and economy of empowering our community. Lastly, healthcare is the utmost importance. Developers must be held accountable for the well-being and safety of their workers. Access to high-quality healthcare should be the right for all, as it safeguards individuals and the communities. I urge the City Council to implement labor standards for all construction workers. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Anyone else like to approach the council on any item not on tonight's agenda? Not seeing any. Close the time for public expression. There is nothing on the San Rafael successor agency, so this meeting is adjourned.